Today we're going to be featuring a tool called the Action Plan for the Parts Department. As a matter of fact, if you're in management in any one of the dealerships, it is recommended that you have an action plan. For my podcast listeners, you can watch the full episode of this on my YouTube channel. I will leave the description in the box below. But before we begin, please check out my ebook, The Parts Manager Guide, Proven Strategies and Process Improvement, now available on Amazon and Gumroad. I will also leave the link so you can go ahead and grab a copy to download it directly to your tablet, cell phone, or your desktop computer. Remember to hit that like button for more content and subscribe if you find my topics informative so you'll be notified when I drop a new episode. It will only take you 1.5 seconds to do so. A friendly reminder, time and time again I keep on saying it, I may be the only program that takes you beyond the sales department consistently. Others focus specifically on cars, their performances, look, style, features, and DIY videos from mechanics. But what is the action plan? The action plan is similar to a Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is used in project management. If you are familiar with project management software, you will learn all these different applications that you use in order to get your projects moving. However, parts managers are also project managers because we have a number of projects going in order to get the parts monthly report going, and I spoke about that in also a previous episode. In order to have the tools and the items used inside your parts monthly report so you can know exactly what the performance of your department is, and also it emphasizes what the senior management and the executives require from you for that department. So what is the Gantt chart? I have it here. It says a chart with a series of horizontal lines and that shows the amount of work done or production completed in certain periods of time in relation to the amount planned for those periods. And it is the same thing that we're going to be talking about here with the parts action plan. Now, it's set out in an Excel sheet. Of course, it is best to do these things manually so you can have an idea exactly where you are, where you want to go, and the numerous strategies that you're going to be using in order to move your department to the next level. Now, I have one here on the screen and I want you to follow very carefully. Well, it's just a rough output of one that I used in the past. So first of all, you want to have the name of your dealership right here at the top, and then the action plan for the parts department. As a matter of fact, every single department needs to have an action plan because the action plan, not only it shows the strategies that you're going to be using to run your department, but also it ties in with the mission, the vision, the value of the dealership on a whole. And of course, the person in charge here that is listed on this side should be you, the parts manager, or the one entrusted to carry out the task needed for running the department. Now, in these columns I have here, we have the challenging issues and then we have the priority items. The schedule, of course, over on this side actually shows the year that you're going to be starting. Well, I use the current year 2022-2023 for the financial year. As a matter of fact, because you're looking at this, one of the companies I worked with, their financial year ran from April the 1st up to around September 30th. Some will run on the current calendar year, which is January to December. As a matter of fact, in some regions, some will run on June 1st to May 31st the following year. Like I said, it all depends on what your manufacturer required, what your country required, are also how the dealership itself sets up its parameters in order to produce their financial year-end report. Now, going back to the challenging issue, one of the things that I had here was restructuring the department to increase efficiencies. Now, of course, I spoke about that in my book, The Parts Manager Guide, and how you utilize the action plan itself in order to ensure that the department is running as efficiently as possible. The priority item here I have under this challenging issue is the complete staff loading. For various regions, they are different. And when I say regions are used in terms of where you are located. dealerships in certain parts of the world, they will be categorized in regions. You have the Americas, which is North and South American and Latin American countries. Then you have the African region, you will have the Asian region, you have European region. Okay, and then if in North America here, based on where each dealerships, a lot of dealerships are closely situated within proximity of each other, so they will have them in zones. Okay, and it makes it very weird for them to understand exactly where they lie. Of course, you will have someone from the local distribution center who will be in charge of a particular region, but that's for another time. So going back to this complete staff loading, it all depends on the region where you are, because there are dealerships that act as distributors and distributors that act as dealerships. They will have large scale facilities. I remember visiting one particular dealership in the Dominican Republic, and they had at least five, six, or seven guys on the front counter, and their parts department was completely extremely busy. Okay, whereas in North America here, some parts department only has a two-man operation. One of the parts department I worked with directly, I was managing a staff complement of up to 27 people. So you want to ensure that you complete your staff loading as much as possible. Some of the work has been overburdened, and then the schedule here will say, okay, you want to finish this by October 22. So you have your start arrow, and then you have your completion time, and that's basically it. So you will be aligning yourself with the HR department, telling them exactly who is it that you need, what position they need them for, and the job description will be highlighting, and the HR department will go around advertising, bringing in, recruiting, training, and all that stuff, and doing the necessary interviews and everything. So that is one priority item. The other challenging issue we had right here is reducing stock months. From this, I had from 5 months to 2 months, aging, staging, scrapping, and monthly parts returns. Of course, in some regions, they don't have a system where you return parts. If you order the wrong part, if a part is mistakenly shipped, if there was an anomaly in the order and you receive too much in the order, then you're basically stuck with those parts. So you have to basically try to manage that as much as possible. And then this goes in consideration with your obsolescence, of course. So you want to ensure that you're reducing your stock months and be as efficient and lean. Lean operations is also another thing. And this is on a monthly basis. And say, for instance, if you want to achieve this priority right here from 5 months to 2 months, and you want that to be completed by March of the following year, because it's an ongoing process, and then you review and revise and continue the process as you go along. Reorganization of warehouse was also another thing. You want to reposition your workshop counter or your front counter in order to make it the access better to reach certain parts. If you find that it takes a considerable long time to access a lot of the things that mechanics or the technicians are using, then you want to bring them a little further, and then you want to realign and bring in better computers, align the system that you can research the parts a lot sooner, and also prioritize special order systems and appointment systems for the rear counter. Of course, realignment of the binning system to better, it ties in with that as well. You want all those fast moving parts so that when the technician comes, they can get those items as fast as possible to get the customer out, because that is also a priority. And utilize the space that is available around you. You want to eliminate waste as much as possible. That is also an ongoing project. Another thing you look at is dealer staff training, which of course a lot of manufacturers, one of the requirements in order to keep the franchise going and to make the dealer principal ensure that his investment is rotating, is that your staff complement has to have a certain amount of certification as required and requested by the manufacturer. Of course, when I was working with Ford will assign you a number. You will do a number of certification courses, and then you will have all those certification sent to you to show that you have completed a particular matrification in order to keep the position. Of course, there are courses designed for the sales department, parts department, and also the service department. Okay, I will not go too into that. If you work with a dealership, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And Ford makes it easy. You can have that certification number. So anywhere in the world You can apply to a Ford dealership. They can go into the system, put that number in, and they will know exactly where you are in terms of the number of courses you have done. Budgeting. This is also another thing that you have to keep. You have to align your budget presentation, what is required from the managing director, from the manufacturer themselves, if you are owned by a manufacturer. And I spoke to that in my just concluded episode about a lot of manufacturers owning dealerships. So they will also set the parameters for what they require of you in terms of sales and in terms of marketing and in terms of what is expected to hit those figures as well. So you have to set aside a time and a place for when you're going to be doing your budget preparation. Okay, and that is very important in terms of how much more are you going to be selling, because whatever you did last year, you should always be exceeding your budget for the following year. Okay, strategic activities, that's something that we throw in terms of inventory control, ordering, parameter improvement, and dealer management system training, and that should be ongoing. So this is just a few of the items that I did when I was managing all those various dealerships. And believe it or not, all I did was carry over some of these challenging issues and prioritize all these items into the various dealerships, because if you go from one dealership to the next, believe it or not, they're basically all the same. As long as you have the experience and the know-how to handle these items in the best way as possible, you will realize that having the experience counts, because you know exactly what to do. If you're new to a particular dealership and you go in, say for instance, if you're moving from Toyota to Ford or from Ford to GM, that experience, when you go in, you'll do an environmental scan, and then you'll know exactly what needs to be done, because you have the experience to carry out a lot of these things. And you being a project management, you're goal oriented already. Your parts managers, believe it or not, we're critical thinkers. So we look at the issue at all times and we try to emphasize exactly how can I make this better, how can I get this done. Tell me, what do you think? You can leave your comments below, and please remember, get a copy of my book, The Parts Manager Guide, Proven Strategies Used to Maximize Profit and Process Improvement, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.